Hey everybody, what's going on and welcome back to the G-Rat Show. I'm G-Rat. I know it's been a little quiet lately because the international break this past week and then this upcoming week. Luckily, club football resumes next weekend and then the Champions League after that. So I'm really excited for that. I know you guys are too, so there's going to be a lot more content coming your way. But I just came across some really interesting news regarding Barcelona, regarding transfer rumors, and then some interesting news regarding the current squad and what Barcelona might do if they can't get certain players to extend their contracts. And these few transfers that Barcelona wants to make, they kind of go hand in hand with what they can do with their current squad. So we're going to touch base on this. So I want to hear what your guys' opinions are. And then there's also some news about current updates within the squad, injuries during the international break, etc. So we'll touch on that too. If you guys haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Now let's jump in and talk Barcelona. So obviously the transfer window is closed right now, and next year's transfer window is a very, very long ways away. But there's some interesting news that I wanted to share with you guys. Obviously it's been a little quiet, so I'm excited to even make this video. Barcelona wants to target Jonathan Tah and Kimmich next summer because they could sign them on a free transfer. And then it also looks like Barcelona has not given up on Nico Williams in hopes to sign him potentially for next season. Now we'll touch on all three of these. Nico will touch on last. Obviously Kimmich has been linked to Barca, I feel like, for the last year or two. And he's getting older. He's 29 right now. Jonathan Tah is 28. So they are a little older. But luckily a free transfer is nice. Now you got to hope that you can register him if they even made that happen. But what's interesting is this. Barcelona apparently have come out and stated that they would be open to signing these four players if they can't get them to extend their contracts. These players are Frenkie, Araujo, Christensen, and Inigo Martinez. And I think if Barcelona re-signs all those players, or at least if they re-sign all of them but Inigo Martinez, I don't know if the Jonathan Tah signing, as good as it is to get him on a free transfer and squad depth is important, I don't know if that's the best move because Cabarsi, Christensen, Araujo, Koundé can even play as a center back. I wouldn't be opposed to it if it's doable from a financial standpoint. But if they don't re-sign Araujo, then that's a must sign, 100%. And I know Araujo made a mistake against PSG. And honestly, his mistake cost them to go to the Champions League semifinal, 100%. I mean, it's that mistake, it's basically the reason Barcelona did not make it through. He's still very talented. He's big, fast, strong. You can't get rid of him. I think Barcelona has to re-sign him. I think it's a must. The Frenkie de Jong situation is interesting, and the Kimmich situation is interesting because Kimmich is versatile. He can play as a right back. He can play as a defensive midfielder. Obviously, Koundé, up until this season, seemed like he always wanted to play in the center, and Barcelona just wasn't having it. They wanted him out on the right. Maybe they wanted to try Kimmich as a right back and move Koundé and give him some rest, or give Cabarsi some rest and play Koundé in the center. You could do that. Obviously, Casado and Bernal are extremely young. You want to limit their minutes. You want to make sure they can stay healthy. Pedri and Gavi, you're going to want to make sure they can stay fresh and healthy. So that makes sense to an extent. But I think ultimately that kind of depends on Frenkie de Jong. And the unfortunate situation for that is you could sign him on a free transfer next summer, but Frenkie de Jong's contract doesn't end until 2026. So you're kind of in that weird spot where you want Frenkie to renew now at the end of the season, because then you can kind of plan your future and try and, we can sign a CDM, we can go after Kimmich, we don't need Kimmich, because if Barcelona extends Frenkie de Jong's contract next summer, realistically, I don't think you need Joshua Kimmich because you have Frenkie de Jong, Casado, Bernal, Gavi, Pedri, Fermin Lopez, Dani Olmo. You don't really need him, let's just be completely honest. But if you lose Frenkie de Jong, and you realize he didn't work out under Flick, we want to get him off the payroll, we want to sell him, we want to start fresh, then that signing makes a lot more sense. So I think ultimately it depends on Frenkie de Jong, and this season is going to be huge regarding Barcelona's future in that spot moving forward. So my personal opinion regarding Frenkie is, look, I know, we all know he's extremely talented, he's fantastic, but I don't think we've actually gotten his best yet in terms of performances. I want to say we haven't gotten his best of productivity yet. Maybe that makes more sense. And I think if we're ever going to see the best of Frenkie de Jong, it's going to be under Hansi Flick. So I hope, and I think he's going to be great, but this season is going to be a telltale sign on what Barcelona is going to do moving forward, because if he gets injured off and on, or he does not look that good under Flick, I think Barcelona will try and sell him after this season. But if he does great, they're going to try and negotiate. But my issue with Frenkie de Jong is I personally think he's going to wait last minute in 2026 and try and pull as much money as he can out of Barcelona and try and get a huge contract extension, make a ton of money, and be one of the highest or the highest paid player in Europe still. I just fear that's what he's going to do. I don't think he wants to leave, but for some reason I get the vibe that he's going to try and pull this stunt, which I hope he doesn't. I guess we'll wait and see. So let me know under these circumstances, or regarding what circumstance would you want to bring in Jonathan Tah and or Kimmich, and then what are your thoughts on Frenkie de Jong if he has a good season, what would you do with him moving forward? And if he doesn't play well this season or gets injured off and on, should we just push him out the door and try and sell him as soon as possible? Now, Nico Williams is interesting because a lot of people are like, you know what? Screw him. He didn't want to join Barcelona this season. We don't need him. I didn't have that exact mentality. My thought was, I don't get it. Why would you not want to join Barca? Because there's so much potential to have a fantastic season and win trophies, play with your international teammates. It makes sense. But I also understand, look, if you're comfortable and you love your family and you love living where you're at and you're devoted to that team, that's cool. My thoughts and feelings on this now are, I think maybe there were some conversations had with his agent and him in Barcelona. Maybe he was like, look, I want to play one more season here with Athletic Club and then come to Barcelona next season. Maybe that conversation has already been had. We don't know. I still don't know the 100% reason why he didn't come. I don't think you can just completely ignore it and say, screw him, he didn't want to come, we don't want him, because yes, Rafinha's great, but he's also like 27, 28. He'll be 28 or 29 next season. So I still think Barcelona needs the Neymar replacement. If Neymar had any sense of intelligence and willingness to be the best and want to win, he would have stayed at Barcelona. Again, I'm not saying he was stupid for leaving, because I understand he wanted to do his own thing, but looking at what he tried doing at PSG, he wanted to be a performer rather than an actual player. He wanted to do all these skill moves and be the main guy on the team. I get that to an extent, but he accomplished nothing at PSG. He didn't win a Champions League, he didn't win a Ballon d'Or, and he became injured all the time. If he was smart and wanted to win a Ballon d'Or or win more Champions Leagues, he'd probably still be at Barcelona. Barcelona needs that young replacement. And unfortunately, Rafinha is not that because he's older and he's not a natural left winger. Nico Williams is. And if you can sign him in hopes to keep him for 5, 6, 7 years, that's so good for the club. It's great for Nico. And I think if you can make it happen, you should probably do it. So that's my thoughts on Nico. Again, we have a whole year left of football to see how this all plays out. But let me know what you guys think about that situation down below. Now, last is the updates within the current squad. Again, it's tough to feel bad for these players that complain that they're playing too much, because they're making 100, 200, 300,000 euros per week to play football, the best sport in the world. You get to stay in shape and play a sport and have the best trainers and the best food and the best workout facilities. You get all of that, and you're rich. So it's hard for me to really feel bad for them. But at the same time, they do play so much football. They added 2 extra matches for the group stage in the Champions League. Now they have an international break after we just had the Euros. I think there's another international break coming in like a month or 2. It's too much. The World Cup's not happening next summer. The Euros aren't happening next summer. I think this is a little ridiculous and way too soon in the season, because these teams are finally starting to get comfortable with each other. They're finally getting chemistry, practicing together, and then you're taken away for 2 weeks, and now the Champions League starts soon. I don't like it. And on top of that, Lewandowski came off in the 70th minute with Poland with a back injury. Fermin Lopez was injured last week, which we already know. Dani Olmo, it doesn't look like he's severely injured, but suffered a knock. It doesn't look like he's going to be training for the next day or so with Spain. Lamine Yamal played 90 minutes in their first match with Spain. Why is he playing 90 minutes? Why does he even need to play? Honestly, that's ridiculous. He's 17. There's too much going on. These guys need a little bit of rest. I understand if there wasn't the international break, they'd be playing in club, but if I were some of these players like Pedri, Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal, after playing the entire Euros and Pedri being injured, and I would probably have tried to opt out. Barcelona is 1 or 2 important players away from getting injured to being screwed, because Bernal's injured. That sucks. Gavi and Frenkie are still out. Christensen's still out. They cannot afford any other injuries, and I don't like what I see there. So I think something needs to change on that end to an extent. Now, the last update is it looks like Frenkie de Jong could be returning soon, within the next 2 weeks, and it looks like Fati could essentially be in the squad for the Girona match. So that's good news. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. I hope he does well. Obviously, I don't personally think he's going to do anything extremely special. I don't know how important he's going to be in the squad, but let's give him a chance. Hope he does well. I hope he proves a lot of us wrong, and hopefully he gets some playing time, and hopefully Barcelona can win that match and, sit up at the top of La Liga with 5 wins in 5 matches. I know we covered a lot of information here. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you guys watching. I know it was a little longer, and I apologize for that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I hope to see you guys back here next time on The G Red Show.